Hey everybody, my name is Paul Esden Jr., aka Boy Green. Welcome to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. And like I said, welcome to the channel every Monday here. It is Mock Draft Monday, baby! Mock Draft Monday. Every Monday I'll be releasing some sort of Mock Draft Monday related content. It could be an interview with an awesome guest. We've had some of those in the past. It could be me diving through a potential scenario, which we'll be doing on the show today. I'll preview that in just a second. Or it could just be me giving you a mock draft. Now, today we've got a little bit of everything here on the show. First off, we're going to be evaluating Trevor Sikkema of the Draft Network. He released his latest mock draft for the Draft Network. I want to dive in and almost mock the mock, evaluate what he decided to do with the New York Jets, and kind of talk about that experience. And later in the video, I'm going to give you my top 5 options for the 23rd overall pick. Of course, the Jets have 2 first-round picks in the 2021 NFL Draft. Second overall, by virtue of winning only 2 football games this year, they earned that. Of course, they also have the 23rd overall pick based on their trade with Jamal Adams and the Seattle Seahawks, and getting those 2 additional first back, one in 2021, one in 2022. And also, before we get started, I do want to give a shout out to playlikeajet.com. You can also catch a lot of this great content here, not just video, which you'll see on this YouTube channel, but we'll also be converting it and doing some articles on playlikeajet.com. So excited for that. So thank you so much for everyone for the support. Let's dive in immediately to the Trevor Sikkema mock draft because it got Jet fans in a tizzy. So we'll talk about that. Then, like I said, we'll evaluate the top 5 options the Jets have with the 23rd overall pick. Now, let's start with the second overall pick. For me, it's very simple in terms of these options, and I've talked about this on past videos, so I won't beat a dead horse here. But the Jets are either going to take a quarterback with the second overall pick, trade back, or trade that pick to Deshaun Watson as some sort of mega deal. That's all the options on the table. So we're going to talk about what Trevor did. He took Zach Wilson, quarterback out of BYU. Not shocking. We've seen that often here. And also, another chance to plug my interview with Zach Wilson's offensive coordinator at BYU and quarterback coach, Coach Roderick. That full-length interview is available right now on my YouTube channel. It is in the Mock Draft Monday folder. That's where I'll put all the draft-related content here on the network. And every Sunday, my Play Like a Jet Zone show of also talking Jets and draft. That'll be a separate playlist entirely. Again, you can find that. The first episode's already up on my channel. But in terms of Zach Wilson, again, go check out that video. Zach Wilson, a talented player. I think from what all the NFL national reports have suggested, the Jets are going to complete their process. They did that during the head coaching search. They're going to do that as it pertains to their quarterback situation. They're going to evaluate the pro days of Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson. They're going to evaluate the entire picture. And then once they do that, they'll make a decision. And to me, like I said, that Sam Darnold potential trade conversation, we'll talk about that a little bit later, will not be made until about 2 weeks within the draft. In the month of April is when I can expect some movement. I don't think anytime soon, despite the fact free agency, and welcome to March, by the way, and free agency coming up in just a couple of weeks, I don't anticipate that changing. So Zach Wilson, BYU, no problem, Trevor. Again, I think we're going to be talking about all these different scenarios of whether it's Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, whoever. So Zach Wilson, no problem. Take him second overall. I've got really no take on that, quite frankly. I'm still evaluating which quarterbacks I really like. But so far, we've spoken with Bill Landis of The Athletic to learn more about Justin Fields. So I'm feeling Justin Fields a little bit. And then we've done Zach Wilson. We have not done a video yet on Trey Lance. So I'm looking forward to that in the future. So again, Zach Wilson, number 2, not a big deal. Now, here's where we get into the controversy of Trevor Sikkema's mock draft. He has the Jets trading up in the first round, a very viable strategy, potentially. The Jets have a lot of picks and in this year's draft and futures draft, so if they find someone they really like, they move up. Of course, that could make sense. Who they moved up for, again, could be the source of contention. The Jets traded up from the 23rd overall pick to the 16th overall pick with the Arizona Cardinals, and here's the trade on the Draft Network. The Jets would send their first-round pick, 23rd overall, a third and a fifth-round pick for the 16th overall pick from the Cardinals. And if you're a Jets fan, you're going to be like, damn, they must really want something if they're trading up for that. What about Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama? Now, Trevor Sikkema, as part of his thread, said Jet fans are in his mentions about them taking a running back. Now, I think that's probably true. There are a lot of Jet fans who say that the Jets should not take Travis Etienne or Najee Harris. Najee Harris of Alabama, Travis Etienne of Clemson, because of running back positional value in the first round. And I understand that argument, but I don't think that's why Jet fans are mad. My perspective, my perception, my perspective as I look at this, trading up for running back in the first round. Now, that's the crazy part. Now, just taking one at 23, sure, that's a separate conversation, but moving up to 16 and giving up valuable assets of the treasure chest for a running back, I love Najee Harris. If anyone watched any Najee Harris this year, especially in the college football playoff, you probably walked away going, wow, look at that guy. The Jets do need a bell cow. Trevor makes a compelling case for why you would want that player and why, if you want that player, you would have to move up for said player. But for me, I'm sorry. It's too rich. I can't do it. I'm not doing it in free agency. I'm not going after Aaron Jones or one of these sexy running backs that want a lot of moolah. Not happening. And quite frankly, the earliest I think I would do it, and I think even some Jet fans would yell at me for this, is the 34th overall pick, the top of the second round. If Najee Harris is there or Travis Etienne, I'd be tempted. But a lot of draft experts say, well, tempt nothing, sucker. Those guys won't be there at 34. And maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. But for me, if we're grading this, the Zach Wilson grade for the second overall pick, fine. It's solid. It's whatever. It's A, it's B plus, whatever you want to do. Zach Wilson's fine for me. He's talented. He's intriguing. Again, I'm still not sold on what quarterback I want, but that is a fine grade. Again, give it a B plus. Najee Harris, first off, moving up is its own grade, and then taking a running back, to me, this would be a D plus move for the Jets. Moving up with your limited assets to fill a hole that you could probably fill in the mid rounds, that's where I have an issue. They need a bell cow, obviously, and I would love to have a primetime running back. The Jets haven't had one of those in a long time, but I just don't imagine Joe Douglas and how he positional value and draft assets moving up for a guy like Najee Harris. I just don't see that happening. So sorry, Trevor, a D plus on that one. Not a fan of that whatsoever. And again, Najee Harris is talented. I'm intrigued by Travis Etienne being in the ACC, covering Syracuse football for the last decade. I've seen a lot of Travis Etienne, and I get it. And also the Najee Harris fans in the room. But again, I just can't see Joe Douglas doing that. And I think that's the point of contention for Jet fans as they're looking at possibilities of what could happen in this draft. Now, that's where we get into the intriguing part. And again, Trevor, in this mock scenario, which you can find on the Draft Network, and also we'll have it in the description of this YouTube video. Again, I get that, okay? So we're not talking about the 23rd overall pick. They traded up in that scenario. But now I want to provide the top 5 options for the New York Jets with the 23rd overall pick. I'm going to say the position, and then I'm going to give you a couple of prospects that potentially make sense at that spot. And I'm going to work my way from 1 to 5. Now, normally I go 5 to 1, so I'm kind of mixing it up here. But the number one option for the Jets with the 23rd overall pick, in my esteemed opinion, is, of course, edge rusher, man. The Jets haven't had a true edge rusher, and every Jets fan knows this by word as I say this. When anything like that comes up, the Jets haven't had an edge rusher since blah. If that was a fill in the blank, Jet fans would go, John Abraham, and that's true. The Jets they need some punch up front. And if they don't do it at 23, quite frankly, it's only going to get worse from there from a talent perspective in this draft, and quite frankly, harder. When you look at the past drafts, I'm an analytics freak. When you look at the last 10, 15 years of NFL drafts, edge talent routinely comes from the first round. Finding that production later in drafts is harder and quite honestly impossible. So with that being said, you can find running backs mid to late, right? Like Alvin Kamara in the 3rd round, or Kareem Hunt in this round, or this guy undrafted or whatever. Running backs you can find kind of all over the place. Edge rushers, it's a lot harder to do that. You can't routinely find that. So it's time for the Jets to sack up and forget about the Vernon Gholston disaster. I can't forget it because I have a Vernon Gholston jersey in my closet. And actually, in last year's draft, on day 1 or day 2, I wore a Vernon Gholston jersey. I refuse to not wear that. And I want the Jets to have the same perspective. Don't be afraid. Don't play scared on draft day. It's time to upgrade this unit. And I'm sure that they have nightmares. Woody Johnson, I know the GM and head coach are different from the tandem that drafted Vernon Gholston out of Ohio State. But quite frankly, you can't let past mistakes scare you to the future decisions. You can't let those kind of things impact you. You have to make each decision separately. And quite frankly, the Jets need a bump there. Well, who are the edge rushers on this team? Jordan Jenkins is a free agent, and he's been fine. He hasn't been spectacular by any means. And I know all those Bryce Huff truthers out there. I love Bryce Huff. But right now, you can't commit to him being a starter. He's a nice rotational piece. So the Jets need something up there, and I think they could do it. A couple of guys to watch out. Kwity Paye out of Michigan. You could put him all over the defense. I think Robert Saleh would be licking his chops at the possibilities. He's violent, explosive. He can get it done whether it's the run, the pass. I'd love to see the Jets get their hand on him. Or Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia, another very talented player as well to keep an eye out for the Jets in the 23rd overall pick. Again, edge is the number one need for me at the 23rd overall pick. Let's go to number 2 here, and I'm going to stay on defense. I'm going to corner. And this is where the Jets have some issues. Look at their roster, man. You've got Brian Poole at the slot, and who knows if he's coming back. Hopefully the Jets bring him back. I think it would make a lot of sense. He's a talented player. Then on the outside, you got Bless Austin, who I like a lot. But let's be honest, it was very up and down on that train. And Bryce Hall of Virginia, I'm intrigued by him. But again, you can't just commit a starting role to him. Pierre Desir was a disaster, an unmitigated disaster. So you got to do something at corner. 2 players I want to bring up. First off, J.C. Horn. Now, if you're a Jets fan, you've heard that name. He's been a very popular mock pick to the Jets with the 23rd overall pick. He's big, physical, has instincts. He can often get a little handsy at the club, and that may be due to a lack of confidence. If he thinks he gets beat, he just reaches to grab and gets a little handsy. He needs to get a little bit more juice, a little bit more confidence, get some swagger, and trust in his abilities. But I think he's a very talented player. Would make a ton of sense with the 23rd overall pick. Another guy you may not have heard of as much if you're a Jets fan, Greg Newsome II, Northwestern. He's got lankiness, a tall corner with some chutzpah. He's another guy to keep an eye on throughout this process. Again, we'll dive in some more on these prospects, but just some names. J.C. Horn is someone you've heard of, obviously, out of South Carolina, but Greg Newsome II, keep an eye out for him. Number 3, wide receiver. Now, quite frankly, the Jets have had a lacrosse player and Chris Hogan there, undrafted guys, random dudes at the club. The Jets need an upgrade. Now, I am going to be fascinated by what Joe Douglas decides to do at that position. Is he going to get the scuba gear on and do a deep dive in free agency like an Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, Kenny Galladay, even if any of those guys make it to free agency with the franchise tag? That is fascinating. Or will we go to the draft? Here's some guys. Kadarius Toney, in one of the very first mock draft Mondays we did on this YouTube channel, Kadarius Toney. He's splashy. He's sexy, explosive, seamless fit in this offense. Really would be that Deebo Samuel type in the LaFleur offense. That would make a lot of sense. Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. He has experience playing in the slot. He has experience playing on the outside. And hopefully with the Jets, he'd be more so an outside guy because I'd love to see him. You pair him with Denzel Mims, Jamison Crowder. If they don't replace him in the draft or free agency. When corners got in Rashad Bateman's face, though, and pressed him, he had some issues. But he could be a great compliment to what the Jets have, and you could probably coach that out of him. But wide receiver, number 3 on here. Again, it'll be fascinating to see how this changes with the impact of free agency. That is something to keep an eye out for. Number 4, interior offensive line. Let me repeat that one more time for the people in the back who are listening. Interior offensive line. A lot of Jet fans have said, hey, Boy Green, what about the right tackle situation? The right tackle situation isn't bad, folks. Take a chill pill, Jet fans. Sit in your couch and lean back a little, okay? George Fant was fine. Was he spectacular? Was he a Pro Bowler? Was he an All-Pro? No. No, he wasn't, quite frankly. But guess what? He was serviceable. He was solid. Give Joe Douglas some credit there. A lot of us went, oh, boy, this guy, a super athletic guy with maybe a high ceiling, but an incredibly low potential floor here, and he was fine. And guess what? In this new scheme, George Fant's going to be even better, quite frankly. So Mekhi Becton, George Fant, those are your starters at tackle. That's fine. Outside of injuries, those are your guys at tackle. That's fine. It's all good in the hood, all right? But the interior is where there's issues. Connor McGovern was an overwhelming disappointment at center. Guards, Alex Lewis sucked. Greg Van Roten sucked. It was a cup of suck. Extra suck sauce, okay? That's what that was. But the Jets have needs on the interior. Let me bring up a couple of players here. First up, Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. He's played some tackle. He's played some guard in college, so positional flexibility, a nice plus. I'd put that on the dating profile. That'd be in the bio. A guy that can play a little all over the place. Sexy, love it. And also, I heard one scout say this about Elijah Vera Tucker here is, quote, one of the safest players in the draft, end quote. He could be a plug-and-play guy. And make no mistake about it, again, I think the Jets are fine at tackle, but you need some help on the inside. So here are just some possibilities here, what the Jets could do. Yeah, I'm kind of projecting free agency. We'll have a separate video about my full mock free agency, what I think is going to happen. But let me just throw some stuff at the wall. Let's see what sticks here. Okay, the Jets could sign Corey Linsley, who's formerly of the Green Bay Packers, still with the Green Bay Packers technically. He's their center. You sign him if you're the Jets. Hey, Connor McGovern, whoop, slide you to guard, which he's played before, by the way. Let's not get crazy here. So you have Corey Linsley at center, Connor McGovern at guard, and then look, there's a big gaping hole at guard. Elijah Vera Tucker, draft, plug and play. Boom, that could be it if you're the Jets. Let's try a different piece. You don't like that? You don't want to do all that Corey Linsley stuff? Fine. Why don't you keep Connor McGovern at center? You bring in that Joe Thuney guy, the Joe Thuney guy from New England, right? Make it rain on that mother, okay, and make it rain all over the place. Great money there. You plug Joe Thuney in, kakunk, right there. Connor McGovern, kakunk at center. And oh, wait, another guard spot. How about Elijah Vera Tucker? Kakunk, boom, booyah. There's your starting offensive line for the New York Jets. So I think that could make a lot of sense. And the Corey Linsley thing, the thing that intrigues me is you hit two birds with one stone. You bring in Linsley, who's a superstar center, and then McGovern, he's going to be fine at guard, I think. I think he's going to be even better at guard than he was at center. So you have that. Or the other way, like I said, if you surround him with a lot of talent, keep McGovern at center, bring in Thuney, who is an all-pro, phenomenal, and then draft a guy like Elijah Vera Tucker who can plug and play. Another interior offensive lineman name I like and I've loved for a long time, Trey Smith out of Tennessee. Boy, that boy is a mauler. Woo-wee! Mekhi Becton, Trey Smith. I mean, those are Las Montañas. Those are some mountains, baby. That's now, okay, run behind those guys. Highway Route 77, boom. And get Trey Smith and Mekhi Becton. I like that. That to me is tasty. That is sexy. That is delicious. So I'm all for that if that's what they'd like to do. So Vera Tucker, Trey Smith, keep an eye out for those guys. And finally, before we wrap up this video, let's go to option number 5. And this is the last option in terms of the power rankings. Number 1 is the thing we'd like to see the most. Number 5, the least. But trading back. Right now, the Jets have 6 picks in the top 100. Now, if a Sam Darnold deal happens, I believe ultimately it will, you're going to throw another pick on top of that. So probably 7 picks in the top 100. Maybe some future assets. We'll kind of see what the market looks like. I think they're ultimately going to get a late first and some change. We'll see kind of how all the pieces move for that to potentially happen. But why would I project as an option Joe Douglas trading back? Well, he just did his first draft ever for the New York Jets, the virtual draft last year, and he traded back a lot. He got assets, whether it was in that draft, he ended up with 3 fourth-round picks, or and he also traded back in the 3rd round, and you get those opportunities for the future. So Joe Douglas, I think, could be willing to trade back, and there's 2 reasons for that. First off, he just likes assets, so there's that. And number 2, in his back pocket, right, all reliable is the 34th overall pick, which is a primo pick. The Jets are going to get a chance to reset their draft board after day 1. There could be some desperate team trying to crazily get into the 1st round. Maybe they offer you a future first and some change or something for the 23rd overall pick, and the Jets go, you know what? Let's do it. Let's hit it. Because I've heard a lot of draft people tell me that, the variety from 15 to 40 is basically the same. The separation of value isn't really there as it is to the top of the draft. So whether you take a guy at 20 or you take a guy at 40, it's basically the same thing value-wise. So if that is true, that's just one draft expert I was texting with. If that is indeed true, then the Jets can kind of maximize on that. They could trade out. That's fine. And they still have the 34th overall pick in their back pocket to play with on day 2, and they can reset the board and kind of think about what they want to do and do that. So to me, let's recap the options real quick. These are the top 5 options for the Jets with the 23rd overall pick. Number 1 for me is edge. Again, I don't think there is I think there is edge talent in this class, and then there's a massive drop-off. It only gets worse after 23. So fix your edge problem at 23 if you can't get it done in free agency. And even, quite frankly, get it in free agency and the draft. Double dip. Number 2, cornerback. The Jets need corners. They have a lot of unproven commodities at that position. J.C. Horn would make a lot of sense. Also, Greg Newsome, the second's another option. Number 3, wide receiver. For God's sakes, whoever's playing quarterback needs somebody to throw to that wasn't bagging groceries last week. So let's get Whoever's playing quarterback, a weapon for God's sakes. Kadarius Toney, Rashad Bateman, somebody for Pete's sake. Option number 4, interior offensive line. I think the Jets could also address this at 34, but just for the sake of this conversation, Elijah Vera Tucker, Trey Smith, help a brother out. This will complement free agency, so depending on what the Jets do. They're super in on Joe Thuney, so it makes sense to plug another guy on the other side. And finally, option number 5, trade back, baby. Get more assets, get more value, and as some people have suggested, get more lottery tickets, okay? They say the draft is a crapshoot, a 50-50 proposition in a lot of situations. So the more tickets you have, the more chance you have to hit. So trading back is always a good option. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up a Mock Draft Monday here on the channel. So make sure you hit subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. If you liked an option, let me know in the comments down below and also on social media. I am everywhere. At BoyGreen25, BOY Green the color 25. Would love to hear your feedback on what was your favorite option, what was your least favorite option of all these, and also some of the prospects you guys love and are digging in on. Again, I'm going to get back into writing content. I haven't really done that since last year's draft. I'll be doing that on playlikeajet.com. Also, video content here, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. And finally, if you haven't heard enough from me or watched enough of me then, and you still want more, I'd question your sanity. But if you still want more, right there, baby, booyah! The Jet Zone, every Wednesday, an audio-only podcast via Sports War Radio, where I give you all the latest on all things New York Jets. The latest rumors, reports, signings, free agency, draft, and the mailbag, where I answer all your wonderful questions. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up here for me here on a Mock Draft Monday. Love doing this every Monday. And again, if you're just joining us, every Monday, Mock Draft Monday content. Great draft guests, great draft content, all the way leading up into the NFL draft. We'll see you next week or the next time you watch a video. See you then, everybody. Peace.